Hey beauties and beasts, welcome back to the show. Before we dive into today's story, I wanted to show you something that just arrived. Okay. This is the YesStyle Starlight Diaries Beauty Advent Calendar for 2025. I don't know, it reminds me of Alice's Wonderland, right? So inside, you will find 25 full-sized skincare and makeup products worth over $500. But the whole beauty box goes as low as, I don't know, below $150, which is pretty amazing. So today I thought it would be fun to pick a few random products from this calendar to use for my skincare today, before we get into the spooky part of the video. Okay, so let's go. This looks huge. Oh, Dr. Althea 345 Relief Cream. This one is pretty good for sensitive skin, so when I spend too much time outside under the sun and, like when your skin gets really sensitive and red, then I use this cream. Let's pick 11. The logo, I already know what it is. Medicube. Yeah. PDRN Pink Peptide Serum. Okay. I heard this one is pretty popular, so I might use it today. Okay. And number 5. Oh, this is interesting. Quick Clay Stick Mask. So it's a mask, but it comes as a stick. You always have to apply. Sometimes it gets like messy, but if it's a stick, then you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, let's use it. This is huge. I don't know what it is. Oh, face mask. Oh. Ooh, the second calendar. Anua. I use a lot of Anua products. Anua is a really, really great brand that I also found recently. I already have the green one, and now I have the pink one too. Let's do this quick. Number 3 now. Black Rice Toner. Whenever I feel my skin is a little... Ooh, there's something inside. There are kind of layers. It's white on top. So maybe you kind of mix it like this, like a cocktail. Oh yeah, I might use this today, and just to let you know how that feels. Oh, the smell is so good. Yeah, you can feel that lip plumping effect. It's like hot and cold at the same time, if you know what I mean. Oh, this one I already have. Tightening Booster for firm skin. So it works on your wrinkles and your pores. So if you're living in a hot country like Malaysia, you sometimes feel that your pores are kind of too visible. So great. I'm going to use this today and show you. So this is a skin boosting serum formulated with red onion extract. Let's use it, why not? So this one works on wrinkles, which is for me. We're gonna use this one today. Okay, so we are done with the unboxing. So if you found any products you like, products you would like to try, you can grab them from YesStyle and use my code BATB12 for 12% off. Since we're all set, let's get into tonight's story. Today, I am taking you to a place where the line between horror movie and horrifying reality became dangerously blurred. So tonight, we're talking about a cursed mansion in Cambodia, a film crew that maybe should have listened to the locals, and a series of events so disturbing that people still argue about whether it was coincident or something far darker. This is the story of Bokor Hill Palace and what happened when a Korean film crew dared to film there. So let's begin. In early 2004, deep in the mountains of Cambodia, a horror movie was being filmed. The movie title was R Point. It's a Korean horror film about soldiers searching for their missing comrades in a cursed location during the Vietnam War. This was a pretty popular horror movie in Korea. When it premiered in August 2004, R Point would attract over 1.6 million viewers and become one of Korea's most acclaimed psychological horror films. So this movie was praised for its suffocating atmosphere and an ambiguous ending that audiences still debate today. But for those who worked on the production, the real horror wasn't in the script. It was in the location itself. The filming location was an enormous mansion called Bokor Hill Palace, a grand colonial building perched atop a mountain in Cambodia. However, among the locals, the place was known as a forbidden zone. On the walls inside, someone had scrawled a chilling warning: "Do not sleep here." The locals strictly avoided going anywhere near it, but the Korean film crew didn't believe in such superstitions. Oh, nice. Okay, it kind of looks spooky on screen. So the crew set off to Cambodia to begin shooting. When they climbed the mountain through thick fog, a 3-story red stone building appeared before them, and its presence was truly eerie. Moss covered the walls, and a strange smell leaked from its shattered windows. A heavy sense of dread filled the air. This is perfect for filming a horror movie, they thought. The directors were delighted, believing the gloomy mansion's atmosphere would perfectly fit their film, a story about soldiers trapped in a place where the boundaries between life and death have collapsed. And after all, finding a location like this was nearly impossible. But what they didn't know was that this perfect filming site carried with it a dark and bloody history. And from that day on, whispers of misfortune would follow the production. Stories that some say were more than just coincidence. The production of Our Point faced problems even before filming began. The original director, already committed to the project, suddenly quit just 1 month before shooting was scheduled to start. There was no clear explanation, and the production scrambled to find a replacement, eventually bringing in director Kong Soo-chang with barely any preparation time. "I didn't even know if food was going into my mouth or my nose," Kong would later recall about those chaotic early days. When location scouts first discovered Bokor Hill Palace, they knew immediately it was perfect and unsettling. The massive French colonial casino, abandoned for decades, stood alone on a fog-shrouded mountaintop. Its architecture was so disturbing that when the crew showed the building's blueprints to an architecture expert, that professional reportedly said, "It looks like it was designed by a psycho." The local Cambodians had their own warnings. Korean expats living in Cambodia at the time tried to dissuade the production. "That place is cursed. You shouldn't film there." But horror films need locations, and this one was too perfect to pass up. Before filming could begin, the crew performed a traditional Korean ritual. It's called 고사, ceremonial offerings meant to appease any spirits that might dwell in the location. Incense was burned, food was laid out, and prayers were offered. It was both a precaution and an acknowledgement. They knew this place had a very, very dark history. Even so, as cameras rolled down that first day of shooting, no one could have predicted just how dark. On the first day of shooting, the staff were still joking around as they carried equipment into the mansion. The old stairs creaked, dust flowed in the dark, and the air felt heavy in their lungs. But from the very beginning, strange things began happening. Director Kong Soo-chang described an unnerving phenomenon in interviews. A mansion that was clearly visible just moments before would suddenly vanish into thick fog the instant we tried to film. But right next to it, the sun would be shining brightly. It was definitely a haunted house, he said. The fog seemed to have a mind of its own, appearing and disappearing with no meteorological explanation. Then suddenly, one of the crew members shouted, "Wait, someone just walked right past me." Everyone froze, but there was no one there. The man rolled up his sleeve and showed the others, "Look, there is a scratch on my arm." A long red line ran from his wrist to his elbow. "You must have brushed against something," people said dismissively and went back to work. But that afternoon, something else happened. During rehearsal, one of the actors pointed toward the window and said, "Someone was just watching me, a man." His face was pitch black, with his cheekbones sticking out. Everyone turned toward the broken window, but there was nothing, only thick fog outside. Come on, guys. Is this your first shoot? Get it together. Trying to shake it off, they continued filming, yet no one could ignore the unnerving chill that filled the air. Inside the building, the atmosphere was suffocating. The crew reported hearing strange wind sounds that seemed to rise from the basement, traveling up through the walls. That building felt alive, as if someone was watching, something was watching. That night, the strange phenomena continued at their lodging. Lights flickered and doors rattled open on their own whenever they tried to sleep. My body feels so heavy, I can barely breathe. I had a weird dream too. Crew members complained of various symptoms, and several said they experienced sleep paralysis. Actor Oh Tae-kyung, who played one of the soldiers, later confirmed these experiences. The building was inside a national park and was a tourist attraction, so people would visit during filming, but on days when there were no tourists scheduled, we saw human shadows moving inside the casino building. And the crew, so many of us experienced sleep paralysis during this shoot. It happened far more frequently than normal. By the end of that exhausting first day, the cinematographer quietly wrote in his notebook, "Nothing appeared on the camera, but I'm certain someone else is here with us." The second morning dawned. The staff arrived much earlier than usual. Most hadn't slept well the night before. Though no one said it out aloud, everyone looked as if they had seen the same bad dream. Later, it turned out that several of them had indeed dreamt the same thing. The sound of a child crying and a shadow watching them through the crack of a door. Let's just finish early today. The fog gets too thick in the afternoon. At the assistant director's words, everyone began setting up. But strangely, the lights that had worked fine the day before wouldn't turn on. They changed batteries, replaced cables, but nothing worked. Could the socket be burnt out? The lighting director examined the outlet and froze. Inside, it was completely blackened, as if flames had burst from within. And after several delays, the morning shoot finally began. Actors were already so tired, and one complained, "The air feels so heavy, like someone's pressing down on me." Then around lunchtime, one of the coordinators went missing. She was last seen near the stairs. "I'll just go out for a smoke," and then she never came. The search began, but the mansion structure was far more complicated than expected. Every door led to an identical corridor. Climbing the same staircase twice took you to a different floor. In some rooms, once you entered, you couldn't exit through the same door. An hour later, the missing coordinator was found in a small room on the opposite side of the mansion. This place, it's strange. I went into one room, but when I came out, there were two. Her voice trembled, and she kept muttering, "Someone was calling my name from under the stairs. Someone was calling me." That night, strange stains began to spread across the walls of the lodging. At first, they looked like watermarks. By morning, the stains had turned red, as if blood had seeped into the wall. Someone joked, "Relax, it's probably just moss." But the local guy's expression hardened. He shook his head and said quietly, "That is not moss. It's the resentment of those who died here." No one responded. From that day onward, filming kept stopping for no reason. The cameras were on, but no footage remained. The audio recordings were filled only with static. Everyone started to feel it, that the mansion wasn't a set at all, but a living tomb. The physical toll became unbearable. Actor Lee Sun-gyun, revisiting the location 19 years later for a TV documentary, remembered, "For 100 days, I truly only wished to die, because you could only go home if you died." The filming conditions were brutal, but something else made it worse, something the crew couldn't quite name. In the film, the soldiers find themselves trapped in a place where the dead and living exist in the same space, where reality becomes unreliable. During the filming, the crew began to feel the same way. As if supernatural unease wasn't enough, the production faced very human obstacles. Corrupt Cambodian officials descended on the set, demanding bribes at every turn. When the production crew refused to pay, the officials threatened to confiscate their expensive filming equipment. The harassment was relentless. Finally, in frustration, the production team made an unusual threat of their own. "Fine, we'll pay you to let us destroy this building for the film." And the officials finally backed off. It was a bluff, of course, but the crew learned something interesting. They did eventually leave the crew alone, but even the Cambodian government didn't particularly care about preserving this building. Despite its historical status as a French colonial structure, it represented a very dark chapter. Occupation, exploitation, death. No one wanted to protect it too fiercely. The building had always been a place of bad luck. The true history of Bokor Hill Palace stretches back nearly a century, and every chapter is soaked in tragedy. In the early 1920s, during the French colonial era, the French envisioned a heavenly resort atop Bokor Mountain, a place where European elites could escape Cambodia's oppressive tropical heat. But for the workers, it became hell on earth. Hundreds of Cambodian laborers, indentured servants, and prisoners were forced to carry stones and bricks up the treacherous mountain paths. They worked in brutal conditions, suffering from malaria, exhaustion, and starvation. Construction lasted 9 months, and in that time, approximately 900 workers died. And according to reports from the time, there was no time to properly bury the dead. Their bodies were left where they fell, or hastily disposed of. The luxurious Bokor Palace Hotel opened on Valentine's Day, 1925, built on a foundation of uncounted bones. After the French withdrew in the 1940s during the First Indochina War, the building was abandoned. It was later damaged by anti-colonial forces, and in the 1960s, it briefly reopened under King Sihanouk, now with a glitzy casino attached. Wealthy Cambodians flocked to gamble, but dark rumors spread. Unlucky gamblers who lost everything would throw themselves off the cliffs behind the hotel. Whether these stories were true or exaggerated, the building's reputation grew darker. And when the Khmer Rouge seized power in the 1970s, Bokor Mountain became a stronghold during their brutal reign, lasting 3 years and 7 months. Approximately 30% of Cambodia's population, so it's around 2 million people, were killed or worked to death in places like this. The mansion became a site of execution. People were dragged there with their hands bound. Dark stains remain on the walls to this day, marks that no one has been able to erase. Even in the 1990s, the Khmer Rouge used Bokor as one of their last holdouts before finally being defeated. So when you think about just how many people died there, it's impossible to even know the exact number. The scale of death is just mind-boggling. The blood that was spilled in that single place is beyond comprehension. So when filming wrapped in mid-2004, the cast and crew were relieved to leave, and most were eager to put the experience behind them. But then the rumors started. According to stories that circulated in the Korean film industry, misfortune followed some of the crew members home. Not long after filming ended, a young crew member was said to have been in a terrible car accident. Another crew member reportedly lost a family member under tragic circumstances. Some versions of the story claim a local Cambodian guide who worked with the production also died unexpectedly, though no cause was given. Could they be exaggerations or even fabrications meant to add mystique to the film? possible, but what is certain is that people involved in the production became very cautious. According to one entertainment blog, while it's difficult to directly link their deaths to the mansion, when bad things happened after filming ended, people became cautious about even meeting each other. The rumors became so persistent that they earned a name, the R-Point curse. Whether curse or coincidence, the stories persisted. And 3 years after R-Point premiered, another tragedy struck Bokor Mountain. On June 25th, 2007, a PMT air flight carrying 22 people, 13 of them South Korean tourists, crashed in the mountains near Bokor during a storm. The plane had been traveling from Siem Reap to Sihanoukville when it lost contact with the control tower. For 2 days, over 1,000 soldiers and police searched the dense jungle in monsoon rains. And when they finally found the wreckage on a remote mountainside northeast of Bokor Mountain, there were no survivors. All 22 people were dead. So when news broke that the crash occurred near the R-Point filming location, a new wave of rumors spread through the Korean expat community in Cambodia. It's the curse, some said. The mountain is angry. A Korean diplomat stationed in Cambodia confirmed the location, noting that Bokor Mountain was indeed where R-Point had been filmed. Some locals and Korean expats believed the mountain had claimed more Korean lives as punishment for disturbing it. Others were more practical. Nonsense, one travel guide said, bluntly. It was an accident caused by cheap travel packages and poor scheduling. The airline was cutting corners, he said. The official investigation concluded that the crash was caused by pilot error, flying through mountainous terrain in bad weather while unaware of their exact position. But for those who believed in the curse, that explanation didn't matter. The mountain had taken more lives. That was all they needed to know. The R-Point curse rumors intensified, spreading beyond film industry circles into mainstream Korean consciousness. Today, the old Bokor Palace has been renovated and transformed into a luxury hotel. Le Bokor Palace reopened in 2018. The windows have been replaced with clean glass, the walls have been painted white. Tourists now stay in rooms where shadows once moved in the dark. Some say the renovation broke the curse. They drove out the ghosts with money, people joked. Financial exorcism. But others aren't so sure. Late at night, some guests report hearing footsteps in empty corridors. The wind still seems to carry voices, whispers, and languages no one can identify. As for R-Point itself, the film became a cult classic, a psychological horror masterpiece that still haunts viewers 2 decades later. The cast and crew moved on with their careers. Most rarely speak about the filming. But sometimes, in interviews, an actor will pause when asked about the Bokor Mountain. Their expression will change, just for a moment, and they will say something like, "That place, there was something wrong with that place." Whether the curse was real or imagined, one thing is undeniable. Bokor Mountain has been steeped in death for over a century, and some places, it seems, never forget. In the film's most famous scene, the characters realize they've been traveling with someone who shouldn't exist, a dead soldier walking among them. During filming at Bokor Palace, the crew experienced something similar. The constant feeling that there was always one more person present than there should be. Someone or something watching from just out of frame. So, what do you think? Was it just a series of unfortunate coincidences, or did the film crew awaken something that should have been left alone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But anyways, when a place like this has been soaked in blood for nearly a century, from 900 workers who died building it to countless victims of war and genocide, maybe some stains just can't be washed away, even with fresh paint and luxury renovations. Some places are abandoned for a reason. That's a wrap for today, and until next time, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.